Hi everyone, it's Liam here from Rating the Races. So we've got some racing at Cheltenham tomorrow. We've also got one race at Navan that I'm interested in, and it's not the big, is it the Troy Town? It's not the race. I will give a brief mention to the Troy Town later as to my thoughts on that, but I'm not actually having a bet in that. The ones I'm going to look at start off for the 145 at Cheltenham tomorrow, and I like Peaky Boy here. So currently available at 11 to 4. I think he is the horse in the race that could end up outside of handicap company. And what I mean by that is I think he's the one that could end up in graded races. I think Leader in the Park will be good. I don't think he's going to be as good as Peaky Boy. And the others I kind of feel are handicappers running in a handicap. Now, I really like Peaky Boy because Nicky Henderson was picking in this race from about 4, I think he had. And I looked at them and I'm like, whoa, whatever Nicky runs in that race is going to be the selection. If it's, a reasonable price. And I think 11 to 4 is a reasonable price in the context of this race. I don't think it's the strongest races. And as I said, Nicky, he definitely had Lucky Place in this race, who I think would have won it as well. Definitely one to add to your Nagme. But he's gone with Peaky Boy, and he's only gone with the one as well. He's not entered 2 because he wants to find out which one's better. He's gone, let's run Peaky Boy, and we'll probably win it with Peaky Boy. That's kind of what I think they might be doing here. And yeah, I really like Peaky Boy in this race at 11 to 4. I think that's a decent price still. Moving on to the 155 at Navan. The horse I like here is Safura for Gordon Elliott and Jack Kennedy for the Morans. Now, the reason I like Safura, I actually thought his form last season was decent. He went over fences, fell on his first start, but when beaten in a race that Facile Vega won, then went to a beginner's chase and comfortably beat Biker by 40 lengths, so demonstrated that he could jump. Then finished second to Quilixios. Well, now, if we go on that form, maybe Quilixios is better than we thought. His defeat of Marine Nationale recently was a good run. And then he ended up at the Cheltenham Festival. He went a 4-1 favourite for the Grand Annual. He looked like he was very well handicapped. I think he was very well handicapped. He didn't win. He finished 4th behind Unexpected Party, Liberty Hunter and Path de Rue. Again, I actually think all 3 of those in front were well handicapped. Unexpected Party, we were obviously on. Liberty Hunter continually runs well in these races, and Path de Rue had just needed something to drop right for him to win a feature handicap. Now, that was off 145 for Safura, over fences. He's dropping back to hurdles, and he's going to run off 130. Now, I know he's running off an Irish 130, so even if we said it was £7 higher than if he was running in England, he'd be running off 137. So still £8 lower than when he ran a really good race in the Grand Annual. And if we actually look back through his form over hurdles, it was good. He was beating Le Mau Maison. Oh dear, that's a terrible pronunciation, Liam. He beat that horse at Punchestown and then went to Turles for a grade 3 and beat Buddy 1. So he beat the 111 rated at the time, Buddy 1. Well, Buddy 1, his last run over hurdles, he was finishing 4th in a grade 1 at Punchestown. He's finished 2nd in a grade 1 at Aintree. He's finished 4th in a grade 1 at Cheltenham. To be beating Buddy 1 over hurdles and at grade 3, that was probably a very, very good effort from Safura. He disappointed once when he went off favourite for the Coral Cup at 13 to 2. He ran off a mark of 137. So he probably ran off the same mark as what he's effectively running off tomorrow. Well, this isn't a Coral Cup, 1. The Morans, Gordon Elliott, Jack Kennedy, obviously like Navan. I think this is one that they're going, let's win this, and then we'll go back over fences. They've tried to win 2 feature handicaps now, dropping into handicap. They went for as I said, the Coral Cup 2 years ago after running in some good novice events, and then last year they did the same sort of plan, ended up in the Grand Annual. He ran really well. He finished 4th. But maybe didn't quite have the speed needed to win that race, because he had been running over 2.5 and 2 mile 5 even in the Coral Cup back in 2023. So maybe if he'd run in the plate, he might have had a slightly better chance. He drops back to hurdles. He goes back up in trip. I think he's going to take all of the beating here. And he's currently available at... Let's load up the race and have a look. Currently available, they've initially opened him at 5s. I think if we can get 5s elsewhere, I think that's a bet. I think Safura will win this, and then they could go over fences and try and win a handicap with him over fences as well. Moving on to the 220 at Cheltenham. Back to Cheltenham. Who do I like here? So last time out, we had Calico. Calico just about beat Matata. Calico had had a run, albeit a disappointing one. Matata had not. I think Matata reverses the form this time. I think I thought Matata's form actually was really good last season. He ran in some really good graded races. It didn't quite work. He got beat by a neck. He went off the 5-2 favourite. He still went off favourite over Calico, who I thought had everything in his favour last time out. He is the younger horse. He's got another run under his belt. He's a pound better off for that neck defeat. There's nothing in it between them. But I think Matata will be able to reverse that form tomorrow on that £1 better off. Plus, with that extra bit of experience over fences, it's no surprise to see him getting well supported. You can currently get, what's that, 6-4, 13-8 in a couple of places. You can currently get 13-8 about Matata. I think he'll win tomorrow. Moving on to the 255 at Cheltenham. If you've been following my emails, you'll know who I like here. I'm quite confident on this one, to be honest. This is probably going to be, I think this might even be my nap for tomorrow. Does he know? I thought his form at Cheltenham's good. He finished 4th recently, beating Lemilos, who is very well handicapped over fences. He was behind Broadway Boy, who is fancied to go well in the Coral Gold Cup, the Hennessy. He was behind the Short Go and Senior Chief, who are 2 Irish horses that in England, their handicap marks look good. They're not quite as good in Ireland. Does he know has some really good form at Cheltenham. His form at Cheltenham actually reads 1-1-5-1-2-0-1-4. Really good. Once this trip, didn't quite have the speed for last time out of a 3-mile 1. He's back up to this 3-mile 3 trip. He's won this race. It might even be this race. He won this race in 2022 off a mark of 152. He runs here off 150. For me, there are no negatives whatsoever. He won it on good ground. It's good ground. For me, there are no negatives whatsoever about does he know tomorrow. And I think he will take all of the beating. I really do. He's going to be my nap tomorrow. Does he know at 9-2? Everything in his favour. Ground, trip, slightly lower in the handicap. Easier race than last time. Ran well. Has fitness. Second time since a wind up. There's no negatives. So that is my penultimate selection. Or in the 255. And then I've got 2 that I like in the 330. The Greatwood Hurdle. I'm going to take on both of the favourites here. Could be stupid. I'm going to go for 2 that I have highlighted previously. Starting off with Be Aware, who I think his handicap form is very nice. When I say that, he had the 1 run in handicaps. He finished 2nd in the Novices Championship final behind Helnwen. Steel Alley back in 3rd. Active Authority, who's won a couple of times recently, back in 6th. Now, Be Aware finished 2nd in this race. The championship final. Last year's 2nd, or the year before's 2nd, was Iberico Lord, who went on to win the Greatwood Hurdle and the Betfair Hurdle. Be Aware could well follow in that sequence and do exactly the same and win the Greatwood Hurdle. Dan Skelton does keep trying to win this race. He thought he had a great chance last year with Lotus Sud. It didn't quite work. But Lotus Sud demonstrated that he was expected to, or should have gone much better in the Greatwood by then finishing 2nd in a Betfair Hurdle. And 2nd in a county hurdle. So Harry Skelton and Dan Skelton, they do try and get one ready for the Greatwood Hurdle. I do like Be Aware. I think he's well handicapped. Yeah, and if he follows in the same footsteps as the previous runner-up of the championship final at Sandown, he can win this and then hopefully end up in the Betfair Hurdle as well. The Second horse I like here is Go Dante, who's interestingly had wind surgery. Now, his form last season was very good. He won at Cheltenham. He was sixth in this race off 126. He's going to run off 134, but I think he massively improved from then. He went to Cheltenham in December, won a handicap, beating Doddy the Great. Thought that was a good run. Then went to the Betfair Hurdle, finished third behind Iberica Lord and Loda Sud. I think that's a very good run. I think they're both graded horses in front. He then won at Sandown in the Imperial Cup. Didn't go to Cheltenham. Went to Aintree, got left at the start, lost 20 lengths, finished fifth, only beaten 3.25 lengths. If he'd jumped off, he would have won that. Well, that was off a mark of 134, the current handicap mark that he's running off. Last time out, he went off 6-1 for the Welsh Champion Hurdle. Considering he'd thrown away his chance of winning at Aintree and then ran so well, if he was tuned up for the Welsh Champion Hurdle, he would not have gone off 6-1. He would have gone off 7-2, second favourite sort of thing. He didn't. He went off sixes, clearly demonstrating that he wasn't ready for that. And interestingly, they've then given him wind surgery. The day later, they've reported that they gave him wind surgery. If that can bring out a bit more improvement as well, I think Go Dante is a 140 horse. I think he'll be rated above the 140s by the end of the season. Yes, there are some well-handicapped horses here and some very useful rivals. But I think Go Dante will run a really big race and demonstrate that he is one of those. It might be that he bumps into a few others that are better handicapped, but I certainly think he's going to give a good account of himself. I think he's worth a bet at the prices. So Be Aware is currently available at 7s. Whilst Go Dante is as big as 12s, I would have him shorter than 12s. I would have him 10s or shorter, to be honest, because I think those three at the head of the market could be, absolutely thrown in, and they could end up finishing first, second and third. But I think Go Dante is the one of those behind that I kind of feel is ahead of his mark. It's how much he's ahead of his mark. The front three could end up in graded races. Go Dante could end up as a very, very top-class handicapper. So they are my selections tomorrow. Quick recap. Let's just have a look at the odds again. Peaky Boy, he's the only one that Nicky Anderson's relying on. I think the fact that he's relying on him is a big positive in itself. Safura, back over hurdles. His form over hurdles was very good. He's had one poor run, and that was in the Coral Cup. Other than that, the defeat, for example, of Buddy 1 was a very, very good performance. Matata will appreciate is £1 better off with Cadco. He's had the run. I think he'll run better next time. I think he'll step forward massively. Does he know? There are no negatives for me about Does he know. He's going to be my nap of the day. And finally, the two in the Greatwood Hurdle, Be Aware at 7s and Go Dante at 12s. I think they will both give very good accounts of themselves.